I am Suzanna Terrell. I wrote my first book when I was 5 years old. My mother taught me to read, write, and do arithmetic when I was 3 years old. There's one book that I've written 5 times. The first one was over 1,000 pages and I burned it because it was far too long. I'm trying to get something that is easy, precise, concise, and simple, easy to understand. And so I've had to keep working on it. Now when I have a story in my head, I see it from beginning to end, all the way through every sentence, every color, every bit of conversation. It's already in my head prior to writing it. This I've had since I was a little kid, and I've had to keep writing it, trying to make it simpler, easier, more available to the human psyche to understand. It is based on fact, and it's based on physics, and it's based on science. And you can keep whatever religion you have and still know that this is just fact. You can be an atheist, it doesn't matter, and still this is just fact. This is just based on science. So, I'm going to read to you. This is my law number 3. Susanna's law of transformation. Consciousness is not a supernatural phenomenon. It is not above and beyond the atoms, vibrating energy that you are made out of. You are conscious, and consciousness is not a part, is a part of the, okay. Suzanna Terrell's law of transformation. Consciousness is not a supernatural phenomenon. It is not above and beyond the very atoms, vibrating energy that you are made out of. You are conscious, and consciousness is a part of the atoms' energy that you are made out of. And it is a law of science that energy, once created, cannot die, it can only transform. So in accordance with the laws of science, it is completely impossible for your consciousness to die, it can only transform. Now this is just based on laws of science, laws of physics. Everything is made out of energy, everything you see around you, that's what it is at its basic form. Energy, once created, cannot die, it can only transform. That is a law of science, a law of physics, it's just a fact. Now, if you think that consciousness is not a part of the nature that you are made out of, consciousness cannot be separated from nature. Consciousness is not a supernatural phenomenon. It is a part of the energy that goes to create the atoms, that goes to create the cells, that goes to create everything that is around you, including something else that exists, consciousness. You are conscious, and I'm not going to say what you should believe, what religion or non-religion you should have. I am not here to pass judgment on anybody. This is just a fact. Consciousness is a part of nature, and because it is a scientific fact, part of physics, that energy once created cannot die, it can only transform, and you cannot separate consciousness from energy or from just nature. Let's just say nature, because that's easier. Because when we talk about energy, we're talking about atomic energy. We're talking about at the atomic level. Consciousness, it cannot be separated from nature. If you try to separate consciousness from nature, you're not a true scientist. Or maybe you're not conscious. That's scary. My law number 4, Suzanna Terrell's law of nature. Nature's perfected end result. Okay, let me tell you one thing about transformation. Energy once created cannot die, it can only transform. A very simple concept would be understanding a cigarette. A cigarette, you smoke it, it does not suddenly disappear because you smoke it. It actually transforms into ash, into smoke. It actually becomes something else. It's still there, it's just in a different form. Okay, Susanna's law number 4, this is my law number 4. Susanna Terrell's law of nature's perfected end result. It is a scientific fact that nature works towards its own perfection. Nature works towards its own perfected result. Consciousness also works towards its own perfected end result. Consciousness is not above and beyond the nature that you are made of. It is not above and beyond the nature that it is a part of. You cannot separate consciousness from nature. So consciousness is just a part of existence. It's a part of nature. It exists. And you cannot separate it, calling it some sort of supernatural phenomenon. It actually exists. I know I'm conscious. And it actually exists as a part of nature. So you cannot separate consciousness from nature. Nature naturally works towards its own perfected end result. A very simple example would be a flower, and a flower works towards its more perfected end result, making itself a better flower, attracting the bee. The bee becomes better, works towards its perfected end result to get the nectar. This is a process of working towards a perfected end result. And it doesn't matter what you believe, what religion you have. You can keep whatever religion you have or don't have. This is just fact. It's just a part of life. It's just a part of nature. And you cannot separate consciousness from nature's working towards a perfected end result. Consciousness also works towards a perfected end result. Why? Because consciousness actually exists. It actually is a part of science. It actually is a part of nature. So, the nice thing to know is that you have a place to go. There is a perfected end result. That's just science. It's just fact. Now, as my friend Joe would have said, don't you feel a little silly? It was right under your nose. And I now feel like I need to do some sort of a song and dance for you. Ah. Da 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 da. Okay. A song and dance? You want a song and dance? Okay, how about this? Try not to get worried, try not to turn on to problems that upset you. Don't you know everything's alright? Yes, everything's fine. And it's cool and the ointment's sweet for that fire in your head and feet. Close your eyes and relax. Think of nothing, just tonight. Kind of nice to know that everything you believed in religiously and everything that you have not believed in, for those who have no religion, doesn't really matter. You can keep whatever you believe. I'm passing absolutely no judgment. I'm passing absolutely no judgment on anyone, because my laws are just fact, and they're just based on science.